Do not obey. Zombie talk. I've seen some fish you cannot explain.
Mississippi has some great ghost stories. This is one of the oldest. In the centuries before settlers ever crossed into Mississippi's territory, the Choctaw people held many beliefs as to how the world worked. One of those beliefs revolved around something called the Shadow People. The Shadow People were sometimes called the Impa Shalup. Sometimes they were called by other names, and they were neither good nor evil, they simply were. Now, for the most part, these Shadow People left the living alone. But once you died, these were the creatures that either led you to paradise if you had led a good life, or they devoured you if you hadn't. And if you were devoured by one of the Shadow People, it meant an eternity of darkness. But one of the Shadow People didn't wait until you had died. He instead moved through the woods of Mississippi at night, known by the name Nalusa Falaya. He's described as being frighteningly thin, dark with long fingernails, standing 8 feet tall with no face. One story told of him involves 2 Choctaw boys who were known for shirking their responsibilities among the tribe. Their father was aware of their rebellious nature and he allowed it, but he warned them never, ever to go into the woods at night. Naturally, the boys broke that rule. And on that night, as they traveled through the moonlit trail, they noticed a tall, slender figure standing at the edge of a pond. They realized in that moment that all the sounds of the forest had suddenly gone quiet. And in that moment, the figure disappeared. The boys continued along the trail until they reached the edge of the pond, but the figure was nowhere to be seen. But out in the middle of the pond, they noticed a log floating by itself. As they watched, the log began to slide across the surface of the water towards them until it rose up to reveal itself as the figure. Terrified, the 2 boys began to race back through the woods towards their village, but every time they turned around, they could see the figure standing silently among the trees, watching them. As they reached the edge of the forest, the boys began to believe that they might just be safe. But as they crossed the threshold into the village, a long arm shot from the shadows, grasping the youngest boy and dragging him back into the forest. And despite the tribe's best efforts, the boy was never found. Now, the legend takes on many forms throughout Choctaw history, but several key elements always remain the same. The tall, dark, faceless figure that feeds on confusion and fear. It exists as a physical embodiment of psychological terror.
Here's the most recent video she sent me just a few days ago. It's some paranormal activity they captured. They had been gone for the better part of a week and picked up no activity on their camera, but they get back home and she picked up what she believes is just one single ghost walking around. Check this out. I want you to watch the bottom right and the bottom of the screen. You can see some kind of apparition, ghost, spirit walking around. It's mainly toward the bottom right and the center. She has picked up all kinds of evidence like this, and I'm really beginning to believe there is a portal here. She has captured so much over the past several months.
Oh, look at that. Hush, look at that, y'all. Yeah, you can't even see the other thing that's right beside it. Whoa. Whoa. Back over. Y'all, if y'all ain't even seeing what I'm really seeing. Whoa. Okay, let me see if I can zoom back out. It's 2 things there, y'all. Wow. Let me see if I can switch it over to this picture. Come on, phone. Why are you hiding what's really there? Oh, snap, did it? Oh, whoa. Look at that. There you go. Y'all see it? Y'all see it? I told you it was something there. It was hiding it at first. Okay, let's get it. Let's go. By myself. I always tell a ghost story I experienced with somebody else. So one time, me and my friend, we was on the phone, we was talking, and we was talking about how we experiencing things that we just couldn't quite explain without saying that they were hauntings. Okay, we was just talking about it. So I was telling her, I said, and I don't normally tell ghost stories like y'all know that I experienced by myself, but I was telling her that sometimes it sounds like a car is pulling up outside. This one I stayed at my house in the country side of Mississippi. Mississippi's country period, but anyway, but in the countryside of Mississippi. And I was telling her that it sounds like sometimes a car will pull up outside and blow sometimes, and when I look out, it's never no one there. And this wasn't a busy road I stayed on. It's just family and quiet, and you would know if somebody pulled up in your yard and blow because of how the land, how everything was set up out there. I mean, you can hear clearly if somebody pulled up in your yard and blow. Okay, it wasn't like a busy highway in front, none like that. Okay, almost just private drives. Anyway, so I was telling her that, and it would always have me getting up, looking outside, and when I look out there, nothing. And this is the place I was telling y'all about in other stories that I experienced things. So you have to go back and watch those videos if you don't know. Okay, so one night her and like two of her friends came over visiting me. And I used to always be at home by myself because my husband worked a lot, and my kids and stuff, they always was out playing. We lived on the countryside and they stayed around family, so they would be at other family members' houses and stuff playing with their kids. So I'm always at home by myself. And so she came over and visit one night, her and two of her friends, and we sitting around having a couple of drinks and talking. And I heard somebody pull up outside. I mean, you could just hear the engine just clear, like they pulled up outside. They blew. And I got up to see who it was. Maybe somebody else was coming over because we always was visiting each other's houses and stuff. So I get up to open the front door, and there's no one out there. And my friend had a chance to experience that while she was over there. So that kind of put a stamp on what I had been telling her. So she get up and look out too. And it's like, oh my God, no one's out here. And so she just kind of freaked out with me. Well, I didn't really freak out because I had became used to hearing stuff out there. And here's part two of another incident that happened when I was staying there. I still own the house. I'm going to take y'all out there one day so y'all can just kind of see. And so, another incident when we was there, when I was home, each time it rained out there, you could hear a bell ringing. And it doesn't matter how much you look for that bell, get up, look outside, and well, you would never find it. You could never just distinguish where the sound was coming from, but you can hear the bell just ringing, bing, 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 like that. And it would be so annoying that if you tried to lay down and take a nap or something like that, it was just almost like just bothering, just real bothersome. Like you couldn't just really rest, and it will only happen whenever it rained. And our next door neighbor, one day we was talking, and I asked her, did she ever hear like a bell ringing and stuff whenever it rained? It was like my older auntie
aunt, and she had been staying out there like a while before I even, moved out there and stuff. And I think she told me that she did hear a bell ringing, and the neighbor on the other side of me, which is my cousin, I didn't ask her about the bell, but she once said that she heard children laughing in the back of the field, like, because these homes are on acres of land, field in like a field land. And she said that she heard like children laughing before. And I did hear one time, I told you guys about, I heard a witch laughing the time my husband locked me outside at nighttime. But if you didn't see that video, you gotta go back and watch the videos.
What's the scariest urban legend from your state? Today we're doing Mississippi. Mississippi has another haunted road, but this one is actually terrifying. The three-legged lady is said to haunt Nash Road, and there are several versions of this story, and we'll go through both of them. One version of the story talks about a young girl who was kidnapped in Mississippi. Her mother, who was absolutely distraught, was searching Nash Road for her. Eventually, the little girl was found. Unfortunately, she had been unalived, and her body had been taken apart. According to legend, her mother was only ever able to find one of her legs, and so now, according to this legend, she walks up and down this road holding her daughter's leg, looking for the rest of her. But some people think that the lady is connected to the old church that was once on Nash Road. According to this version of the legend, there was a church on Nash Road, but that has since been torn down. But after this church fell into disrepair and wasn't being used anymore, it soon became a hub for witchcraft and human sacrifice. And I'm so sorry, I didn't mean witchcraft, I meant like a satanic cult. I know there's differences between the two, I just don't personally know them, so if you want to educate me down in the comments, feel free. But according to several witnesses, they would stop at this church, turn off their headlights, and then honk 3 times. According to this legend, the three-legged lady would appear, and you would have to race her to the end of this road. When she first appeared, she would knock on the top of the car 3 times, and then as you began racing, she would throw her body against your vehicle. And this would happen until the very end of the race. But people say to this day that the three-legged lady will still show up and will still hit your car. And some people have even claimed after having an experience with her that there were dents in their vehicle.
Y'all want to hear a true scary story? Alright, this person told me this when I was about 16, 17 years old. Okay, so in Mississippi, so there were 2 girls, they walked to the corner store, right? And the corner store was like down the street, not too far away from the Mississippi Bridge. So they walked to the corner store, and on their way back home, there were two black guys. They looked just like they were twins, actually. They were brothers. And they had a drop top, you know what I'm saying, the wheels, the beats, and they pulled up on shorties. Long story short, they got to talking, and they were like, okay, well, let's meet up tonight. Meet us over there at the Mississippi Bridge. Okay, so it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So the girls go home, do their thing, get dressed, and go to the Mississippi Bridge. Now, they meet the dudes. Now, when the dudes pull up, they sense something. For some reason, they kind of both felt a little uncomfortable, right? And but when the dude got out the car and, made them feel comfortable, they was like, oh, okay. So they jump in the car, and they're all like at the Mississippi River. They're kicking it, they're hanging out, and, chopping it up, drinking, smoking, all the good stuff, right? And so the dude, they exchanged numbers, right? So the 2 main people that exchanged numbers was one of the twins and one of the girls. So they exchanged numbers. So the dude, after the night was over, and it was like about 4 or 5 in the morning, They dropped the girls off at the same place they met them at. The bridge. Okay? The Mississippi Bridge. Okay. So a couple of days go by. You know, they drop the girls off or whatnot. Girls go home. A couple of days go by. She was like, I'm going to call that dude. So the girl calls the dude. And it's like around 4 or 5 p.m. And an older lady answers the phone. And she's like, can I speak to such and such, right? I think his name was Brandon, something like that. I can't remember. It's been so long. But the lady was like, girl, stop playing with me. And hangs up. So the girl calls back thinking that she dialed the wrong number. Right? Do. And she do it again. And the old lady goes, little girl, I told you to stop playing with me. Who gave you this number? And so the girl tells her. And the lady over the phone tells her, that's a lie. Because my son's has been dead for 2 years. Right? So the girl hangs up the phone with the lady. And she gets curious. She goes down to the library. You know, because she didn't want to bother the lady no more. Right? She gets curious. She goes down to the library. And she looks up, you know, this guy's death. Sure enough, they were twins. That same vehicle that they picked them up in, they drove that same route, them twins, and, you know, got into a wreck and went over the Mississippi Bridge 2 years ago. And so, my Mississippi folks, do you know what story I'm talking about?
To tell people about this weird, creepy experience that I had a few years ago. It's around 2010. I'm in Mississippi spending the summer with my sister, my nephew, my mom. And my nephew kind of was a jokester back in the day, so I didn't really know when he was playing and when he was serious. And, you know, kids' imagination, you never really know what they pretending or what they just telling you. So, you know, I just couldn't take things at first as like face value. So one day it's like evening time, getting dark, and my nephew goes, Uncle Marcus, you see that man behind you? And I'm looking around like, nah, he gotta be playing right now. Like, what man? It's like that man behind you. You don't see him? I'm like, no, I don't see him. He was like, well, he there. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe my nephew got a little, you know, wild imagination going on. You know, nothing too big. You know, he was a prankster. I couldn't, you know, he'd be like, I'm just playing with you at any second. So it's just one of them things. I thought he was just waiting for it to be like, I'm just playing for you. But he never did that. So the next day, my nephew, my mom, my sister leave, and it's just me at the house. Now I'm watching a basketball game. I'm into it. Bulls gonna go crazy today. And I got like a drink in a cup on the table. I only had like a few ice cubes in it or whatever. But the first thing happens, like the cup, I hit like the ice drop. Ain't no liquid in the cup. I just drunk everything that was in there. So I'm like, okay, that was a little weird, you know, nothing too bad. Then like not even 10 minutes later, I'm back into the game. Now this time, the whole cup moved. And I'm looking like, did my nephew? Nah, he couldn't be. But at the same time, I'm getting that weird feeling like, you know, somebody's watching you type of thing. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go outside, go play some football, just wait till everybody come back and tell them what happened. Later that night, I tell them what happened. And of course, my mom, my sister, and my Auntie Jean was there. But she was like, why you leave the house you know, you locked yourself out. I'm like, yeah, I meant to do that. She said, what happened? I'm like, the cup moved by itself. And you know, everybody else like, the cup moved by itself. No cup move. And then my nephew goes, it was that man, wasn't it? And I'm looking at him like, I think he really serious about this person that he talking about. And then he was like, and if you smell him, he smell burnt. I was like, what? And then my auntie Jean was like, you know, I have been smelling like a smell of like burnt flesh, but I thought I was just me going crazy. Now I'm like, oh no, he might be like for real though. So literally the next night, my nephew go again. That man is. Now I'm looking around like, where he at? He was like, he burnt. He smell funny. Ugh, he look ugly. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't think he imagining this now. And then out of nowhere, my auntie Jean was like, I do smell that fat. I smell burning flesh. I'm like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, I'm not equipped for this. So the next day, I tell my friend Jay about it. And, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm just venting and just telling her like what weird stuff going on. And then she tell me like, did your nephew say that it was a burnt man? I'm like, yeah. You know about the burnt man? She was like, yeah. When I was a kid, me and my brother would get chased out the room all the time. And we'd have to sleep in the room with my mom because we was that scared.
What's up, gang? Back at it again with another werewolf story time. Y'all know I hate long intros, so let's just get right into it. This story comes from about 2 hours away from me in Mississippi, where the nights are heavy and the woods are alive. And not everything out there walks on 4 legs. You can call this one the Mississippi werewolf. You can't go through Mississippi without feeling its soul. The river, the blues, the catfish, and gators, and that thick southern heat. But deep within all that is something else, something much older. This story comes from Sean. Sean, born and raised in the heart of Mississippi. He's no stranger to the wild. He's a hog hunter. He traps hogs and sells them. A man that spent his entire life in the woods. And what he saw still haunts him to this day. Sean said deep down south, they have a bad problem with feral hogs. They're big, they're mean, they're very evasive pigs that breed fast and tear up the land. They destroy crops, ruin ecosystems, and can cost farmers millions. Sean had his own land outside a small town called Purvis. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I apologize in advance if I pronounced that wrong. So there, Sean has a big trap with a remote camera. He bait it with corn, wait for the alert on his phone, then drop the gates, of course. Simple, easy, got the pigs, didn't have to rustle, tussle them and all that. He would watch him on the camera, hit the button, smile, and say, gotcha, mud sacks. Then he would shut everything down, clean up, and go to bed. One night, right before he drifted off, his phone buzzed again. More trap movement. He opened the app, expecting to see maybe a hog or two, but what he saw looked like something straight out of a horror film. The pigs were going wild, squealing, crashing into the cage walls, when out of the dark came a massive, hairy-shaped creature on all 4s. At first, he thought it was a black bear, but the body was all wrong. Then, maybe a coyote, but no, this thing was too big, too built. It had muscles, like a man, he said. He said it had hands with long claws, like shimmering in the night. But its legs were bent backward, he said, like animal style. Then it stood up on 2 legs, he said, nearly twice the height of the 5-foot trap. And with a single effortless leap, it landed on top of the cage. What happened next? Sean said he would never forget. Screams, chaos, that thing unalived every single last pig in seconds. Then, silence. He watched it in horror as it lifted one hog over its shoulder, another one in its jaws, and vanished into the tree line. Like nothing was wrong. Sean didn't sleep at all that night. He locked every door, every window, and just waited for sunrise. At dawn, he took his AR pew-pew and drove out to the trap. When he got there, his stomach turned. He said it looked like someone dumped a bucket of red paint over everything. if you know what I mean. There was nothing left. No bodies, no tracks, just carnage. And then that feeling, that cold, primal instinct that says you're being watched. His hair on his arms stood up. He got out of there fast. And he stayed out of there for a few weeks until fears started to fade. This is about late August. So he went back up to the feeder and the trail cam for deer season. Climbed into the tree stands, pew-pew in the holster, and waiting. When the feeder went off, 5 hogs showed up. Grunting, feeding, just big. You know how they be carrying on. So Sean aimed his pew-pew, ready to take the shot. That's when something blacked out in the trees, like a dark blur, exploded out of the woods. Grabbed a pig, knocked over the feeder in the process, and was gone in seconds. Sean said he just sat there frozen in the tree stand, too scared to move, too scared to breathe. He said even blinking felt loud. He was shook. He stayed there for about an hour, clutching his pew-pew to him, just listening, waiting. When he finally climbed down, he ran, and he didn't stop until he got back to his house. It's been years now, Sean said. He said his traps are still up there. He still hunts. He still lives on that land. But every time the wind howls through those Mississippi pines, he remembers that night. The red in the cage and those eyes watching from the trees.
Man, I used to go to Callaway back in like 02, 03. When I first really found out about this house, man. When the school bus ride past the house, I used to always look at the house and be like, why don't nobody live in that house, man? It's a nice house. But I always got a bad feeling about that house. Even back then I did. And this is what, 20 years later, and I still get the same feeling. So, I rode past one day. I was going to my mama's job. She worked at Centaurs at the end of Beasley. Same feeling 20 years later. I said, man, what is up with this house? So I went and made the first video, the one that almost got 100,000 views on it. And people, sure enough, said the same thing. It's a couple of people, oh man, nah, the house ain't haunted. Well, a lot of people in the area know about what really happened in that house. It was a light-skinned guy. He had a light-skinned wife also. A lot of white people thought that they was white when they moved into the house. This guy also had this house built. Let me remind y'all that. He also had the house built. After the house was finished, he ended up getting pulled over by a police. So the story is that this guy, he wasn't drunk. It wasn't nothing wrong with him. They just wanted to arrest him so they can kill him. But they didn't kill him. They made him suffer in prison. They ended up knowing something about his diabetes. And they didn't give him his medicine. But they wanted him. He wasn't gonna leave jail either way it went. His wife ended up taking his death hard while he was in prison. Before he went to jail, he never went to prison. I think he died down here in Jackson, bro. At the jail down there. But anyway, before he went to prison, and this coming from some old people that told this stuff to their grandchildren. The dude told the wife, don't never sell my house. If something happened to me, don't never kill this house. So this dude already knew that he was a target. He already knew he was a target, man. And he told the wife, don't sell my house. So when he got arrested for nothing, maybe it was disorderly conduct or something like that, they needed a reason to take him to jail. They could have took the guy to jail for nothing back in those days. He couldn't have did nothing. But they wanted him in jail and they wanted him dead. So, the guy, he went to jail. They didn't give him his medicine. The word is he died because he didn't get his diabetic medicine. They didn't give it to him. They knew he needed it. They had doctors down there. And, he died in jail. And after he passed away, his wife stayed there shortly. And she was real depressed. She was real depressed, man. And I don't know if she died in the house, but she did stay there for a while from what I heard. I don't know if she died in the house or not. I ain't gonna tell y'all no lies. But anyway, this man worked hard for that house. He worked real hard for that house, man. So what I'm telling y'all is, man, his spirit is still there. People think spirit is not real. People think ghosts is not real. It's paranormal activity going on everywhere you go.
Ever driven through Kosciuszko after midnight? Well, some folks say that if you turn down the right road, there's a statue waiting on you. Not one of those little angels holding a book. No, this one is pretty big. Nearly 20 feet tall, marble white, staring straight ahead like she knows something you don't. They call her Mrs. Kelly. Now, here's what most don't know. Back in the 1890s, her husband was so heartbroken when she passed that he sent her photo, and maybe even her wedding dress, all the way over to Italy. He had a famous sculptor carve her from stone. He built the 3rd floor of his house just so he could look at her every single morning. But the story doesn't end there. See, he found that he couldn't bear to look. He said that the statue cried, real tears down her face, even on dry days. Now, some folks said this was just Mississippi humidity, but he swore it wasn't. So he had the statue turned so it wouldn't face the house anymore. Well, they say she turned herself right back around. Today, there's a little iron fence around her grave, with a few smaller ones nearby. Some say those are her children, the ones that she lost. Others whisper darker tales, that she killed those kids herself.
There's an oak tree where you can still hear ropes creak at night, the sound of souls who never left. It's known as the Hanging Tree of Carroll County. In the late 1800s, mobs dragged black men and women there, accused of crimes without trials. The tree's massive limbs became a sight of terror. Families knew if you were taken there, you weren't coming home. Locals say the ground around the tree still refuses to grow grass. Visitors claim they've heard whispers in the wind or felt the air turn freezing cold under its branches. One man swore he saw a shadow swaying, even though no rope hung from the tree. For Carroll County, the hanging tree isn't just legend. It's a scar. And at night, it's said the tree remembers every name that history tried to forget. Follow Mississippi Raw for more haunted places where history refuses to stay buried.
And you see a big old mansion in the midst of a cornfield. That's Mount Helena. Built in 1896, Mount Helena is a revived colonial home sitting atop of an Indian burial mound. It was built by Helen Johnstone Harris and her husband George. I think I've seen somewhere that it burned down and then Helen and George, they rebuilt it, but it fell into disrepair after they passed, and then a distant relative took up the job of restoring it, and now it's how it is now in its glory, all its glory. A little backstory on Helen. Helen was in love with someone else before George, whom she was supposed to marry, but he tragically died during a duel. It's said that she told George that she will always love her former fiance, but I don't know how true that is. But she swore her eternal love to her fiance and became known as the Bride of Annandale. Supposedly, it's buried on a Native American ceremonial mound surrounded by farmland in every direction. And the origin of the mound is a mystery because only 4 artifacts have been found there. And archaeologists are unable to date the mound, but they believe it's in the Mississippi period 1200 to 1600 AD. They radiocarbon tested the ground surface below the mound. Now, I know there's another place, the Chapel of the Cross in Madison, Mississippi, but that's where the Bride of Annandale is mostly seen, but she is the Bride of Annandale, so I don't know how close they are together, but there is some crossover there, but that's a whole nother place. Because she can be seen walking around and crying around the former fiance's grave, Henry Vick, where allegedly she wanted to be buried, but she was instead buried beside her husband in Mound Cemetery in Rolling Fork. Now back to the hauntings of Mount Helena. There are sightings of a woman in a white gown, so maybe she goes back and forth to Chapel of the Cross and here, and then there's orbs and photographs, footsteps on stairs, and voices you can hear. So
10 haunted places in Mississippi. Number 6, Glenwood Cemetery, Yazoo City, Mississippi. Established in 1856, Glenwood Cemetery is famous for the Witch of Yazoo, an evil old woman who supposedly cursed the town before being buried there. Legend says that in the 1800s, a witch was captured and buried alive in the cemetery after cursing the entire town for casting her out. Shortly after, a mysterious fire destroyed much of the town and killed many of the locals, adding to the validity of her curse and instilling fear into the survivors. People report hearing eerie laughter, seeing strange lights, and feeling a chilling presence around the witch's grave. Oftentimes, the locals smell smoke when nothing is burning. Number 5. Mount Holly Plantation, Lake Washington, Mississippi. This plantation home was built for the Dantzler family in 1855 and later became the site of several tragedies, including mysterious fires and unexplained deaths. The first fire that occurred there took the lives of the entire Dantzler family and almost left the house unrepairable. Then 2 laborers died when falling from fixing the burnt roof. Some say the house was built on cursed land. Others claim the Dantzlers were Luciferians and unlocked a gateway to hell, as that first fire started a pattern of innumerable deaths throughout the years. There are so many ghosts that have been reportedly seen at the house, it's too many to keep track of, along with the multitude of creepy and disturbing noises that emanate from seemingly nowhere. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Caught on camera after my live at the abandoned hospital.
So I'm looking back on my live from yesterday and I noticed something on my video. Let me know if I'm tripping, y'all. Keep on watching. Just keep on watching. Y'all saw that?
From you, yes I am. Girl, girl, 662.
Again.
In
I have to put it in slow motion for y'all. Cause what is that? What is that? But y'all say I be tripping.
Devil Worshipper Road is a road located in Waynesboro, Mississippi. The whole entire road is rumored to be haunted. Most of the stories surrounding the road involve sacrifices and satanic cults. Driving along the road at night, some people report that their cars shut off and they have an ominous feeling of being watched. Some also claim shadows surrounding the car shaking violently, and handprints appearing suddenly on the car. Another set of stories involve a farmer who worshipped the devil. He was said to have sold his soul for power, but the devil tricked him and turned him into the creature known as the Goat Man instead. People report seeing a satyr-like being, over 7 feet tall, red glowing eyes holding a pitchfork. He also has furry white legs and an animal-like head with horns. Witnesses say he either carries an axe or a pitchfork, and he can disappear and appear at will. He's also known to stop in front of stopped vehicles and watch those inside. So what do you think of the Waynesboro Shibuda Road?
Hey guys, check out this next video and pick. I posted a video of the area, what it looked like I was in today. Brand new location. Went live for about 2 hours. Barb Wisdom, 56, sent me a video a while ago. Unbelievable. You got to watch the video and the screen pick of what was out there today. Check it out. Let me know what you think.
Just outside of Byron, Mississippi, there's a bridge most people avoid after dark. The swinging bridge was built in 1905, a narrow, creaking structure that still sways over the water more than a century later. Locals say it's haunted. Years ago, during a powerful storm, a young couple tried to cross the bridge on foot. The man made it across, the woman didn't. No one knows exactly what happened. Some say lightning struck nearby and she slipped. Others believe something pulled her in, but her body was never found. Ever since, strange things have been reported. Drivers say they see a woman stand in the middle of the bridge, barefoot, soaking wet, not moving. She never speaks. She never looks your way. But the moment you step onto the bridge, she turns. No one ever sees her face. No one stays long enough to try.
Okay, y'all. I don't know what's up with me and the ghost stories lately, but I like to tell them, so I'm going to keep telling them. I only tell you stories that I experienced with somebody else. I never tell you a story that I experienced just by myself. Okay. So, this building right here you see is located in Pickens, Mississippi. on Highway 17 going to Lexington, Mississippi. You cannot miss the Little Red Schoolhouse when you get off of Highway 55 exit going into Pickens. You will see the Little Red Schoolhouse once you make that left hand turn, but I'm not trying to give you directions there because that's what Google Maps is for. I want to tell you about this one time me and my sister visit the Little Red Schoolhouse. We didn't have access inside it. Wasn't nobody there when we went. We parked on the road. The road is actually, when you see that white fence, it's a driveway over there. You can't see it from this picture, but it's a driveway right there. And we did walk out and cross. The gate was open. You can push the gate open and come in. So if you look right there, that little fence area on the side of the Little Red Schoolhouse right there, that little fence area, I think is a well, but don't quote me on it. It was years ago when we went. But anyway, whatever it was covered up, but I'm thinking it was a well. It was like covered up though. And we went up to it, and in the distance it sounded like you can hear children singing, like in tune, like all together. Wasn't nobody there. It's no longer in, well, it is in operation, but it's no longer a school. No one was there that day, and they don't use it as a school. They use it now for like different functionings, and I think Freemason and stuff. They gather there for different events or whatever. But you can Google it or whatever. Don't take my word for that. But anyway, nobody was there that day. We went, and you can hear children singing. Like, it sounded almost distant. It didn't even sound like it was inside that building. It sounded like it could have been coming from the well, or in that back wooded area. We couldn't really tell, but you can hear it. It was almost like a muffled sound, but children singing.
They spend all their time sitting up on this porch all the time, all day, all night. Now, I revealed in a video previous to this one that what they had in the house was the devil. They said that they had captured the devil and had him stuck up in the house using some kind of prayer, some kind of special prayer or something like that. So these folks sat on the porch all day, all night, just to make sure he didn't get out. They kept a little strap and stuff on the ground and all that. So my grandma and them snuck there one night to look around and see what they could see. They looked through and they seen they had bars and stuff and all that on the outside, and the doors was locked and all that from the outside. So my grandma had an older sister, and she was real just in your face and always, that was one of my favorite aunties, man. Said whatever came to her mind. So she said, I'm gonna talk to them folk. That's it. I ain't playing no more. I'm gonna go up there and say something to them. So she ran up on them one day. They were coming home or whatever, going to school. I think they was coming home from school, she said. And she came up on them and said, excuse me, ma, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am. I don't mean to be rude, but I want to ask y'all, how come y'all never leave up off y'all porch? So the folk just kept staring, and not really staring at her, but like staring through her. It was like they saw she was there right in front of them, but they was looking her way, but past her. So she got real smart with them and said, I know you got somebody trapped in there. Who is it? And she said, when she said that, the guy looked up and the lady looked down. And when that happened, the sky got dark, like a cloud or something. Big old thick cloud got up in front of the sun, and it got real dark outside. So finally the guy went on and spoke to her, and he said, after the Civil War, it was an old black woman who had lost all of her sons and her husband and everybody. And she put a curse up on the land. And she said that the devil will roam free all through the Delta. Until one day, we finally cornered him in this house. And we locked him up. And we hoping that if we keep him locked up long enough, maybe he go on about his business. And the Delta can flourish again. But the Delta ain't never been nothing all since this devil been walking on up through yonder.